We are back with an exclusive look inside the Customs and Border Protection's temporary overflow facility for unaccompanied migrant children in Donna, Texas. Congresswoman Annette Diaz-Barragán got a first-hand look this week at the conditions inside and was able to speak with some of the migrant boys detained there. California Congresswoman Annette Diaz-Barragán joins me now. She is the chair of the Homeland Security Subcommittee on Border Security, Facilitation, and Operations. Congresswoman, thanks for joining us. First, tell us about your overall experience at the Donna, Texas facility and what you wanted those boys to take away from your visit.
Well, thank you for having me. Being there was a little heartbreaking to see these kids, but I was there to get information to see how things were working in the new facility, to talk to these kids, to hear about their experience, but also to make sure they were having access to things like, food and water and phone calls. We've read the reports and the stories, and so part of my job is to go to do oversight. So I like to get down to talk to them in their native language, to explain what I'm doing there, and to do a little show of hands to see how many people, how many of these kids been able to make a phone call to their parents and their family members. Many of these kids are scared. They just want to be reunited with their family members here in the United States. And in some cases, I had a group of kids surrounding me, asking me, lots of questions because they didn't know what was next.
I want to play another soundbite from your visit. This is about what we've been talking about, their ability to make phone calls. Take a listen. So, Congresswoman, clearly something is breaking down there if you are being told that they can communicate with their families, and then these kids are telling you, we haven't used the phone, we haven't been able to use the phone. I mean, you were even asking the question that comes to my mind as a mom, as a journalist, which is, do you have their number? Do you know how to get in touch with them? Your sense both about if there is enough communication with these kids about how they can contact their family and when, and what it would take to remedy something like that.
Well, let me first say that my experience was that I had more access to these kids and the ability to take photos and make recordings, something that I didn't have in the prior administration. So that was a huge difference. And we do hear the officials say, here are the phone booths, and they show you the phone booths, and they tell you what kids are allowed to do. But the objective for me was to hear directly from these kids to make sure, A, they knew, and to see how many of them knew that they could make phone calls. When I did the little poll there, I was a little concerned about it. So I did speak to the chief of the facility and saying, look, why don't we start putting up signage in English and Spanish or other languages so these kids know there are other signs there telling them what they can do and giving them information. So this would be just an added layer. And a phone call is really comforting for these kids to be able to hear a familiar face, to be able to talk to somebody. But also, we're hearing reports from attorneys that parents are looking for their kids, not knowing where they are. So that would be an easy remedy, is to make sure there's signage up. We are told that kids are being told when they're processed through that they will be able to make a phone call. Clearly, some of these kids either were not told or didn't get that information. We could give them a little card in English and their native language that maybe tells them about what they can ask for and what they can do. We are seeing that the administration is making an effort and the agency is making this effort, but we just got to make sure to continue to do all we can to improve conditions and make it as best as we can under the difficult circumstances. At the end of the day, we have to invest in these countries and in the Northern Triangle countries so that these kids don't feel the need to make this journey that's very dangerous. It was clear to see in talking to some of the kids that they were afraid to talk to you, which is why I go out of my way to explain who I am and what I'm doing there, to try to build some rapport, and so they could share with me any concerns that they may have.
Congresswoman Diaz-Barragán, thank you.